But at the end of the day, it really is about being efficient and doing a lot with less, with labor and just overall just being more efficient in general. So we hear that all the time. And when we think of sustainability, I liken it to conservation. I really think that. I mean, we need to preserve what we have. And for a beef production, or cow calf operation, or anybody, it's about making sure that I'm doing everything I can to be as profitable as I can be, but at the same time, I'm taking care of my herd, and they take care of me now.
Hey, I'm Shay Keister, and I'm your host for the Casual Cattle Conversations podcast, where we connect you with members of the beef industry who can help you build a more profitable operation. As you listen to each episode, be sure to set an intention for the show. What do you want to get out of it, and how do you want to use this information to make changes on your operation? If you're looking for more ranching resources outside of what's being shared on these podcast episodes, sign up for my free weekly newsletter. I'll send ranching information and podcast episodes straight to your inbox every week. In addition to that, you will also receive a free PDF with 22 ranch management tips from the gurus who have been on my show. The link to sign up for that is in the show notes. With that, let's hear from our guest today and discover how we can improve the beef industry and our own unique cattle operations.
Well, Ray, I know it's been one good but long week here at CattleCon in New Orleans. For those listening, it is Friday, right? It is Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday morning. And Ray, I know you have been at the Gallagher booth. You've been doing different speaking opportunities to people all this week, really. So I'm just I really just want to hear, what are you sharing with attendees, and what's kind of that topic and area of focus for you?
Well, for us, it's been sustainability and looking at all of our equipment and what do we do right with what we sell, and how do we apply that to sustainability in the beef production industry. And it's been really fun to talk to people coming through the booth and, just hearing their story and, how does it really relate to them. And, they see things that we do and they're saying, oh, what is this and what is that? And that's so cool. I mean, and everybody is just, their minds are exploding about all the technology that's coming about. But at the end of the day, it really is about being efficient and doing a lot with less, with labor and just overall just being more efficient in general. So we hear that all the time. And when we think of sustainability, I liken it to conservation. I really think that. I mean, we need to preserve what we have. And for a beef production, or cow calf operation, or anybody, it's about making sure that I'm doing everything I can to be as profitable as I can be, but at the same time, I'm taking care of my herd, and they take care of me now. I mean, it's about animal welfare. It's about taking care of my family, and it's about my kids coming back from school and learning, and being excited about coming back onto the ranch. And that's been a real joy for us to really talk about with folks as they come through the booth. This show has always been just the pinnacle of excitement for us, and the people are just amazing, and all, like I mentioned, the stories are they just come out. We'll be talking to somebody and it's just like, well, this is what I do on my ranch and this is what I do on my farm, and it's like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So we learn just lots and lots of things from folks that come by and give us new ideas, and if you do it this way, it would work better. And we have to listen to that and make sure that we are really, really listening. And I picked up the phone yesterday and called our research and development our group in New Zealand, and I said, you won't believe this is a great idea. We've got to look at this. And they said, yep, we do. So we're going to make some changes, and we're turning on a dime. Gallagher has been around for like 85 years. So we've been through a lot. We've been through all of the different economies worldwide. And so it's all about making sure that we're always reinventing, but moreover, listening. that's our big sustain.
Well, absolutely. And I also would agree that it is the people and just hearing how everyone does something different, but still with the common goal. And is, you know, there have been a lot of sustainability conversations here, but what I really like is that conversation of it's necessary to make sure that, like you said, that next generation can come back, and you know how important, but yet how exciting and fun to know that you can take actions and make decisions now that will be able to do that.
Well, that's it. And because the biggest issue is, and sometimes in a family organization, we have mom and dad and maybe even grandparents that have been on a legacy farm, and they've got a way of doing it. So the most successful are the ones that listen to their kids. That's tough because they've been doing it the same way forever. And when they come back and they bring new ideas, it's wonderful to hear the story of, Dad loved this idea. He wished that he'd been doing it the whole time, right? And so we're seeing those successes come through, and it's exciting to see the young folks come through. I can't believe how many folks we've talked to that are, they're in their 30s and they're just so excited about life and what's to happen, and they can see that they're going to be able to make it in this industry. So.
Yeah, how remarkable. So tell me a little bit more about what you've been sharing in cattle chat sessions about the sustainability topic.
Well, the sustainability is kind of broken down by three pillars: the social, the economic, and the environmental. And how it relates to the cattle production is that, in the social area, we're worried about worker safety and animal welfare, antibiotic use, and then, of course, technology, and just the culture of traditions of beef production. And then when we talk about economics, it's pretty self-explanatory when we're thinking about what we can do to improve rural economies, livelihoods and affordability of beef to consumers, and moreover, profitability of beef producers, and just the whole value of the ecosystem of beef production. It's great to know that the beef farms and ranches represent over 30% of the farms in the U.S., and that's making up the single largest segment of the U.S. agriculture right now. It's amazing. And then environmentally, we need to give back to the land. We need to be able to preserve the ranch land that we do have by intensive grazing, and just looking at the whole ecosystem of our properties and making sure that we're doing the right thing. Keeping animals out of waterways, and then rotationally graze all as much as we can. We need to protect wildlife too. I mean, we need to keep them excluded, or so we have more to work with. So we worry about soil and rangeland health and plant growth health, but we utilize a lot of human and edible feeds too to make it work, and so there's less impact on, we're reusing everything, right? So that's exciting stuff. Shay, you could probably attest to some of these things that you've heard in the industry. You've been around for a long time, and I get really concerned when I hear some of these myths about cattle, and we have association with people that they don't eat beef, and it's like they have misunderstandings.
Well, so I'm actually here at convention wrapping up my time as a trailblazer, which is in part with the Beef Checkoff as well as NCBA, and it's a year-long advocacy program. So I've really been spending the year really deep diving into that, even though it's always intrigued me. What are these misunderstandings and misconceptions? And it is frustrating to know that people don't know the truth about beef, whether it's nutritional, like how healthy beef is for you, how nutrient dense it is, whether it's a conversation about beef and the environment, if it's greenhouse gas emissions, whatever it is that people are concerned about. And you know what, when I have the opportunity to talk to consumers who do have these concerns, because it does happen more frequently than you realize once you leave the ranch, I can still empathize with them, because if they care about the environment, I can say, I care about the environment too. Here's how I'm doing my part with cattle. And so that's how I kind of recommend to people to go about it, because at the end of the day, they have the same concerns, but it's our job to share the right information with them. And I know it's frustrating when there is true misinformation being spread. Like, that's just not right. But we need to do our part to get the right information out there first. But at the end of the day, yeah, we're all humans and we all have similar concerns. We just need to share that.
Well, and the thing about, a conversation I had the other day with a person, I told them what I did for a living, and said, "Oh, you know what? Cattle are just the leading source of greenhouse emissions." I said, "No." They represent maybe about 3.7% of gas emissions, but it's a very small part of that. And I'm telling you, if you have a plant growth, or a plant-based diet, you're going to have more chemicals. You're going to have more, fertilizers or pesticides rather, and and there's more erosion that occurs without cattle. I just get really frustrated when they just spew off this stuff, that they're just misinformed, and it's not their, like you said, it's not their fault. It's just there's a media campaign against it, and it's just awful. From water intake to the corn that they eat. I mean, we see that the producers are using about 10% of harvested corn, about 8 million acres of corn. This lady the other day said, "Well, it's 100 million acres of corn are being fed." Mm-hmm. No, it's not right. We're more efficient, more sustainable than they could ever imagine.
And I think, that's easier for us because we understand that corn is not meant to be consumed by humans, and we understand the industry better, but we live in such a complex industry.
Yeah.
And I liken that to so I was on a plane a few months ago and I was talking about what I was doing. Well, then people had questions for me about the beef industry. Well, then someone else was in like the transportation industry, and I had questions for them about it, which they probably thought were kind of stupid questions. But if you're not in the same industry, it's hard to understand because each industry is complex and can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it, we are the world leader in beef supply at 18% of the world beef supply, and we do it with 6% of the world cattle. It's just crazy cool. And with that comment that you made about the transportation and the other, what was the other? You mentioned that you were having a conversation about on the plane with somebody, and they were in the industry, the transportation industry. I wonder if they realized that some of the byproducts of cattle help that all work. Like there's lubricants and
leather seats.
The hydraulic brake fluids and biodiesel and medicines. But I didn't know this till recently, but we use a byproduct for airplane hydraulic lubricants. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy. And all the things that there isn't a single part. The cow is the most efficient and sustainable animal on the planet because we have made it that way, and we have utilized and found great ways to utilize all of the things that we harvest out of an animal.
Absolutely. And how much more, that's something to be proud of for beef producers, but I do believe we need to I know people are tired of saying or hearing, tell your story, but it is our job.
It is.
We're marketing our product. We need to do that too. It's just, we need to find what works for you and how you share your story.
That's right. So we keep on keeping on and talking about the good things that we can do right with animal production, and Gallagher has really focused on farm technology that allows the producer to do more with less, and from intensive grazing, water management. We're coming out with a new water detection system that allows us to see volumes in the field, and by satellite and apps that allow us to manage our entire herd from a dashboard. And then really, really good data-driven at-shoot data management there, making sure that we're making the best possible decisions with our animals. And it's equating to a better economy with our producers.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ray, as we kind of wrap up today, we've talked about sustainability and where producers can start with that as far as having the technology to record the data on their animals so that they know what that cost of production is, where's their break even, what can they do to lower input costs or increase profitability, whatever they can do to not make that margin so tight for themselves. And we've also talked about looking at caring for the environment full circle and either conserving our resources or regenerating depleted resources through grazing, making sure waterways are there, making sure we have diverse ecosystems with wildlife, whatever it may be. And so what other take-home message do you want to leave with listeners as they think about their role in sustainability in our beef industry?
Well, there's a lot of information out there for us to really absorb and learn about, and I think that the companies that are really supporting the industry are thinking that way as well. So we're all teaching and coaching and observing and listening to what makes the most sense for each, as everybody has a different situation on their farm or ranch. But they have to just think in terms of, what can I do that can make it faster, easier, and less timely? I want a life, right? I mean, they need family and they need that connection, and it's a lot of hard work. But what can we do to make it easier, faster, and more efficient and more profitable at the end of the day?
Absolutely, because we talk about profitability a lot, but it goes back to that lifestyle too.
It does.
Because if you want your next generation to come back, they have to want to come back and know that they still can take a break and be a human and take care of themselves, because that is important.
It is literally the most important part of all this.
Beef farmers and ranchers are going to work hard no matter what, but we need to be better about taking breaks and showing the next generation that this is one of the best lifestyles you can ever live.
Good life balance. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Ray, do you have any other parting thoughts before we wrap up?
I just appreciate you taking time with me today, and I'm just thrilled to be here.
And that's a wrap on that one, folks. Thank you for tuning in today and joining in on the conversation. Be sure to take this a step further and take the advice you learned and implement it on your operation. If you want to have a conversation about it, head over to my social media and send me a DM by following @CattleConvos and connecting with me there. Have a great day.